We've got the NFL draft coming up this week. I'm Adam Mertz here with Tom Oates and Tom Mulhern of the Wisconsin State Journal. I want to break down a little bit about the Packers and the Badgers as we head into the draft, which starts Thursday night, runs through Saturday. Start with Tom Oates. Packers, what do you see as the most pressing needs, and who do you think that they have in mind on their radar with that 28th pick in the first round?
Well, I think their most pressing need is a pass rusher. And then their next most pressing need is a pass rusher. And maybe their next most pressing need is a pass rusher.
You're sounding like the draft when they had all defensive backs.
There's a fair amount of guys in this draft who can play either the defensive end position or the outside linebacker position and have shown flashed some pass rush ability in college. It's going to be incumbent upon the Packers to pick the right guy if it comes to that. It's hard to know. You know, they're picking way late in the draft. It's hard to know who will still be there. But if there's 3 or 4 guys that are still in that pass, that are still considered pass rushers that are there, they're going to have to pick the right guy.
And in terms of further down, the Packers have 9 picks from the 4th round and down. This is kind of a tailor-made draft for a GM who's used to finding gems down there, isn't it?
Yeah, they need a lot of help on defense. They need a cornerback, they need a safety, they need a defensive end who can slide inside and rush the passer from the inside. They need, as I said, they need an outside linebacker who can rush the passer. They could talk all they want about missed tackles and this and that on that defense. The fundamental problem with their defense last year, and the reason it fell to last in the NFL, was they didn't have a pass rush, and it affected everybody behind them.
On the Badgers side here, Tom Mulhern, last year, opening day of training camp, 14 rookies were in camp. Looks to be another pretty heavy load for the Badgers, specifically on the offensive line with the guys that they have coming out. Talk a little bit about what that tradition has been the last 2 years here, 3 this year, 3 last year, and potential for 3 more draft picks this year.
Yeah, last year with 3 guys getting picked, drafted in the offensive line, obviously impressive. One of them not even a starter in Bill Nagy, but I think the most impressive thing out of that was all 3 became starters. And I think that says a lot about this group. Now, you got 2 surefire draft picks, high draft picks in Kevin Zeitler and Peter Konz. And then you got Josh Oglesby, who's sitting there with 5 knee surgeries. And maybe a little bit of a medical risk. So I'm not sure if Oglesby will get drafted, but he's certainly going to get in a camp and have a chance to make a team. And I think that history of them being able to come in and contribute right away will definitely benefit him. Konz is big, and he's athletic, and he's highly intelligent, and those are things I think the NFL covets out of a center position. And Zeitler's just a tough guy, and he's a workhorse. And he's got a great work ethic, and seen him projected for a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers even late in the first round, and I think that'd be a good fit with his mentality. So I would expect this is just going to add to Wisconsin's tradition of producing really good offensive linemen for the NFL.
Nosey, could you speak to that a little bit about the importance of those positions, especially center, the way it's become?
Well, Konz didn't help himself by doing 18 bench presses at the combine. He improved on that to 23 at Pro Day. And all of a sudden, the red flags go up. Well, 2 months prior to the NFL draft is red flag day, okay? Everybody's looking for faults. But when they put on film and see him pulling and going 20 yards downfield and seeking out a defensive back and blocking him, and then they're impressed. And then he's a big guy. They're impressed with that. And they're also impressed with his intelligence. Center has become the absolute quarterback of the line in the NFL. There's so many line calls now than there was 5, 10, 15 years ago, and the center has become a really vital cog in an offensive line from a mental standpoint. And Peter Konz has tested off the charts mentally when he's gone in to talk to pro scouts and they've put him up on the board and had him do things. He's been way ahead of everybody. I think his stock in the last maybe month has just gone up, 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 up.
Another guy who I think a lot of people are going to be interested in around here is Russell Wilson. I mean, you've heard of the talk for months now that he's 5'11", and that's probably rounding up. Where do you see him going in this draft? Who do you think he might be a good fit for?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to say that Russell Wilson can play football. He's a really good football player. But pro scouts have a long-standing bias against shorter quarterbacks. They don't want to change their offense. They don't want to eliminate things. They do not want to accommodate a short quarterback. So some of them will automatically eliminate him from their draft boards based on his height. Fair, unfair, who are we to judge? I'm just saying that's the way it is. I do think that since teams have gotten a chance to meet Russell Wilson, talk to Russell Wilson, put him on the board, and have him diagram some things. He has blown them away with his professionalism, his polish, his intelligence, and I think he has actually another guy who has probably gone up in the last month or two in the draft. I think he has a chance to be drafted probably the back half of the third round, and almost certainly in the fourth round.
And that's just a huge jump. And none of these attributes would surprise you from having been around him and watched him play this year. Is he a starter in the NFL? Is he a journeyman? Is he a backup? Where do you see him shaking out?
I think he comes in as a number 2, and we all know in the NFL how valuable number 2 quarterbacks are, because quarterbacks are getting hurt all the time, so he will get a chance. And then it's going to be up to him. It's not going to be projections. It's not going to be measurables. He'll get a chance on the field to see if he is really an NFL quarterback. And I think in the right situation, I definitely think he can do it. I don't know if he's going to be a great quarterback, but I think he can have a long career as a number 2 guy who certainly fills in adequately as a starter, and maybe he surprises people.
We'll see how it shakes out starting Thursday. Look for coverage on madison.com all week. We'll have Tom Oates in Green Bay and Tom Mulhern monitoring how the Badgers are doing.